Welcome to the world of LearnX. Today we're stepping inside best practice, and I'm joined by Alison from BSAVA, and we're also going to be talking about PetSavers. So, Alison, for anyone who doesn't know about BSAVA, which I'm guessing won't be that many people, just give us a quick introduction to what you do.
Sure, will do. Thanks, Andy. So with the BSAVA, which is the British Small Animal Veterinary Association, with a membership organisation for veterinary professionals working in the field of companion animal care. So I imagine that'll be quite a lot of the people watching right now. We have over 10,000 members. They can access a whole range of benefits, everything from publications, manuals, qualifications, CPD, volunteering opportunities, guidance on legislation through our policy team, and also access to a broader range of benefits as well that you would expect to see within a lot of different organisations. So things around income protection, legal helpline, those kind of benefits as well. So we're very much a kind of one-stop shop, if you like, for vets working in the field of companion animals.
Amazing. So I know 2 days are never the same, but what does an average day look like for you in terms of your role?
Okay, yeah, sure. That's a really good question. So primarily I'm a fundraiser, and I've been a fundraiser in the charity sector for many years, and any fundraiser will tell you there's no 2 days the same. So I work within PetSavers, which is the fundraising and grant awarding arm of the BSAVA. So my role is primarily building relationships, and that could be with companies, it could be with individuals, communities, or funders. Anybody who has an interest or alignment with our work and who wants to support our work, essentially helping them raise funds which will support us to give grants to research health conditions in companion animals.
Amazing. So let's go a bit deeper into research. I guess everyone in the veterinary profession will know that research is absolutely vital. But what's really happening in the world of research then? Give us a bit of an understanding of the kind of work that you support through PetSavers.
Sure. So we're really quite unique in that we're one of very few funders that support research into diseases and health conditions that affect small animals or companion animals. And we also support research at every stage of a veterinary professional's career. So we fund everything from early stage undergraduate research. So that's through our student research projects, and people who are either studying to become a vet nurse, or a bio-veterinary student can apply for that funding. And that's up to £3,200 that can be put towards a 6 to 10 week early career research project. And then we go right through from that stage right through to the other side, so master's degrees by research and PhDs and everything in between. So we've got quite the kind of spread, if you like, of funding available to the profession.
So when it comes to research, how important is it that people in practices are engaging with research? Everyone's pretty busy, and there are big pharmaceutical companies doing research. So why is it important that people in vet practices are engaging at this level?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, research essentially provides an evidence base for vets to base their treatment decisions on. And that comes from the very latest findings, which come about as a result of the research that we fund. And I think it's really important because vets and vet nurses referencing that research gives reassurance to clients. And also, the veterinary field is evolving all the time. So areas like antimicrobial resistance, they change rapidly. So research really helps vets and vet nurses stay ahead of any changes and quickly adapt to new trends. And also I think the skills that are developed while people are undertaking research also include things like resilience and critical thinking. Those are all skills which are really crucial in coping with a high pressure environment, which, as we know, our veterinary professionals are in on a daily basis. So research can also give an outlet to help with stress and can improve job satisfaction and retention, and that's something that gets fed back to us all the time. So I think research plays a really, really crucial and quite a wide-ranging role in supporting the people in practice.
And is there anything particular that springs to mind when you think about the work you've done over the past few years that you just are so pleased that you've been involved with? Maybe a grant that you've been awarded that's led on to something quite significant. Is there anything you could share with us along those lines?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are so many examples, and I'd encourage anyone watching to have a look at our impact page on our website. I know that you'll be sharing all the details of that later on, where we have lists of different types of funding and what that's gone on to actually mean to the sector. So you can really see the impact. It's everything from skin disease to respiratory conditions to cancer to cardiac conditions. So you can really see the kind of range that we support. One particular one that springs to mind is a pain relief and analgesia project. There was a project where work previously performed in human medicine has led to the development of drugs that are now widely used in veterinary practice. So, for example, the first characterization of buprenorphine in dogs was supported by a PetSavers grant. This is one of the most frequently prescribed analgesics now in acute pain in dogs, cats and rabbits. So that's something that's really gone on to have a significant impact. And I think it's also worth mentioning the Ageing Canine Toolkit, which again, some of the people on the summit will have heard of or been aware of. And that's a really important piece of research that was conducted in partnership with the University of Liverpool. And that's now led to a toolkit that is used frequently in practice with vets, vet nurses and clients with older dogs. And it essentially helps clients recognise the signs and symptoms of conditions within their older dogs, which might sometimes be passed as, just old age, but actually there are many examples of where these symptoms could be diagnosed as conditions that would respond to treatment. So that's called the ACT. That's been really well received across the sector. We've had other charities who have used it within their resources. So, for example, the Dogs Trust and the Blue Cross have adopted it, and some of the larger corporates as well. And we've now partnered in the past year with a company called Nationwide Laboratories, who really recognise the value of the Ageing Canine Toolkit, and they're now one of our sponsors of it. So they help us get that out to a wider range of vet practices and ultimately a wider audience of dog owners.
Amazing. I can tell from your answers there, you're not short on different projects you've been involved with, that you're passionate about sharing
Absolutely.
some of the results. So that's fantastic. But how confident do you think the average practice team, again, there's no average practice team, all practice teams are incredible people, but the average practice team, how confident are people when it comes to understanding and applying research in everyday clinical decisions? How do things really filter down from research to everyday practice?
Yeah, I think most veterinary practitioners value and appreciate evidence-based veterinary medicine, but often they can lack the time. They may not have the resources or skills to apply it in practice. Here at PetSavers, we're really keen to improve their understanding of research. So we're developing training based on our survey findings, which areas they would like support in. So it could be anything around statistical analysis to study design. And we're also really keen to fund more research that's undertaken by practitioners, because they're best placed to pose research questions that are highly relevant to vet practices. So we have a kind of suite of resources, if you like, that people can access to help them take that first step into research. There's also the Centre for Evidence-Based Veterinary Medicine at the University of Nottingham, and they provide resources to help critically appraised research studies as well. So there's options there too.
So when it comes to finding what's really relevant for the occasion or for the season ahead, what can vets do? Because there's not a lack of research in a way. In a way, there's so much research, it can be quite overwhelming. What kind of advice would you give to practitioners who want to understand where to find relevant resources?
Yeah, sure. So we publish our findings widely. So JSAP, which is BSAVA's Journal of Small Animal Practice, our research is published in there. It's also published in our membership magazine, Companion. RCVS Knowledge that offers independent summaries of patient-relevant research. And then also, as I've just mentioned, the CEVM, they provide resources such as databases of reviews and summaries. But there's also loads of podcasts exploring veterinary research, which people can listen to on the go. And also it's worth mentioning one of BSAVA's newest innovations, which is Rover, which is an AI companion, if you like, which includes or is comprised of all our BSAVA content. And I could provide more information in the summary if you like, so people can have a look and see what Rover's all about. That's got very specific BSAVA content that people can tap into through an AI platform.
And how's that going? Because I know working in AI and technology, there's all sorts of weird and wonderful things happening, but is it something that's been well tested, and how's it been received since you've started sharing it?
Some people naturally are wary of AI, but I think when they start to dip their toe in and see the quality of the content that's in there, because it, as I say, it's all BSAVA content. It's not as if it's kind of sending out a kind of net across the whole of the internet to then bring back information. It's all BSAVA content, so that you've got that credibility there that it's quality content that's relevant to the sector.
Amazing. Okay, time for a little bit of a tricky question here.
Okay.
Ali. So as I understand, and I'm not the world leading expert here, but a lot of research in clinical trials and in veterinary research is commercially funded.
Yeah.
What kind of challenges and what kind of gaps does that create? And why is independently funded research so important?
Yeah. Again, that's a great question. I think they're both really important, and there's a space for both. And certainly within PetSavers, we see that there's a space for commercial and independent funding. Clearly, with independent funding, it can help fill gaps and avoid conflicts of interest. It can make the research more credible, more relevant. Sometimes it's possible that a commercial funder may want to influence the design of a study or the way findings are interpreted or disseminated. But within PetSavers, we're very fortunate. We've got an expert group of people on our grant awarding committee. So they scrutinise all our applications, but also if there was ever a situation where we were approached by a commercial organisation to fund some research, it would be examined very rigorously, and those kind of the risks of influence or evidence being skewed in some way, it wouldn't occur. So we're really open to talking to all funders, regardless of whether they're independent or from a commercial background. I think with some areas of research, so I think I mentioned antimicrobial stewardship earlier, or sustainability, or work on health and welfare of exotic species, for example, that kind of lacks commercial appeal. So it wouldn't normally attract industry funding, but those areas are still incredibly important for the profession, and that's usually where we would be going down the independent route.
Are you working with industry academics as well as clinicians, nurses, vet teams? Is it everyone across the board?
Absolutely, yeah. So in terms of our funding, it's not just researchers or academics who can apply for our funding. As I've said, it's undergraduates. It could be vets or vet nurses working in practice, and we do work with industry as well. So it's across the board. I mean, everything we do, the ultimate aim is to improve the life of our pets. And to give people who are working in practice that kind of real evidence-based clinical research that they can use.
Amazing. So when it comes to engaging with what you're doing with PetSavers, if I've got an idea for a research project, if I'm interested in doing something fresh and new, but I've never applied for a grant before, what can I expect from that process?
Yeah, we've got a lot of support in place for anybody who's thinking of applying. So again, there's resources on our website. We're always happy to hear from people with any questions that they have or any areas that they feel they might need, a little bit of support with. So there's guidance for grant applicants. That includes advice on choosing good research questions. So there's an acronym which is FINA, which is feasible, interesting, novel, ethical, and relevant. So we give people guidance around ensuring that all those bases are covered. We advise people to maybe start small and think about carrying out clinical audits in practice. So those are quality improvement assessments of patient care against set standards. And we're always keen to hear from people who maybe want funding to get a small scale research project off the ground and give them any support we can. I made a note earlier before we started chatting about a quote, if you don't mind me sharing, from a recent grant holder. So they basically said you don't need to be in a research heavy environment, just curious, motivated and willing to collaborate. PetSavers can provide the support to help you take that first step. So I think that's a really nice endorsement, if you like, from somebody who perhaps hadn't been in that kind of research environment before, but felt they had that support to take that first step.
Because I've done quite a number of grant applications in innovation and technology and creative industries. and sometimes you do get a bit of PTSD from just filling out the application. So it's good to see there's a process.
Definitely.
And like you say, people don't necessarily have to come from a heavy kind of academic or research background to make a first step.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have a really kind of strong alumni network now. So we stay in touch and keep our kind of previous grant holders in the loop with what we're doing. We celebrate their work, when it's happening and when it's kind of finally presented, if you like, and we give people the chance to present at conferences and have their work published. But we have a very strong kind of commitment, if you like, to the research sector as a whole. So we like to kind of keep that sort of family, that community going. So, yeah.
So, Ali, I'm going to take you right back to the start then. I should have really asked this at the beginning, but what inspired you to get into the kind of work that you're doing now? What was the thing that attracted you into what you're doing with BSAVA and PetSavers?
It's a really lovely story, actually. So many, many years ago, when I first kind of embarked on my career, I worked in an office with a guide dog owner. And like many people, I think I had a misconception or a stereotype in my head of who a guide dog owner was. And it was usually an older person, retired. This was a young man who lost his sight in a car accident. And I was absolutely blown away by the partnership this young guy had with his dog, who just had basically given him his life back. I mean, he used to go out, so Gloucester, Andy. He used to go out around Gloucester city centre at lunchtime and, up and down stairs in lifts, crossing roads, and he was completely safe. And this kind of trusting partnership with this dog. Mind you, the dog used to help himself to our lunches out of his bag, so he wasn't perfectly trained. There was many occasions where he'd nicked a cake out of the bakery bag. But I digress. I then became really interested in guide dogs as a charity and started volunteering for them. And that's kind of how I ended up long-term in the charity sector. So as an animal lover, it made perfect sense when I saw this role advertised coming up for about 2 years ago now. And although we are very niche and we work very much with the veterinary sector, I can really see the impact on our work for pet owners, and I think that's one of the really powerful parts of what we do and what we achieve. So yes, in a nutshell, that's why I'm here today.
It's real world examples of the kind of thing that you're supporting, the kind of work that people in animal care are doing. It's a fantastic place to be involved. So tell us a bit more about the charity and how people can get involved if people are interested in giving to the charity, supporting the work. What kind of things might their money support and how can they get involved?
Sure. So we have a huge range of ways people can get involved. If it's a company and they're looking for some team building, something that's going to motivate their staff, we've got a whole range of activities, fundraising activities that teams can get involved in. everything from, I know this probably won't appeal to everybody, but everything from bungee jumping and wing walking through to through to coffee mornings and bake sales. So, we've got the full range there of ways that people can support us. And also, I know it sounds simple, but just following us on our social media channels and engaging with our posts. As I said, we're part of BSAVA, and as a big organisation, they have huge followings. We're starting to grow our own kind of independent PetSavers channels. So it would be really great to see more people following us and engaging on there and keeping up with some of the stories, because we are getting more and more members of the public who are coming to us and saying, we wanted to make a donation. Our vet has recommended you guys. And we've got some really lovely stories that we're putting out about how that research has helped people's pets.
You would never catch me jumping out of a plane or bungee jumping. I'm petrified of heights. But whilst we're on that topic, I could maybe bake a cake or two. But tell us about some more weird and wonderful fundraising things. I'm always fascinated to hear stories about weird and wonderful fundraisers. Can you think of any good examples?
So our BSAVA president, Julian Hode, who is renowned in the sector for his shirts, which are everything from SpongeBob to Hawaiian to goodness knows what. He wing walked for us last summer at Rendcombe Airfield up near Cirencester in Gloucestershire, dressed as the Cheshire Cat. And I'm sure at some point you will meet Julian, and when you do, it won't come as any surprise to you.
I guess there'll be some photos we could have a look at.
There will.
So what are your thoughts
definitely.
around the future of veterinary care in the UK, Ali? We've got lots of things going on at the moment with regulatory questions, CMAs. We've got, obviously, technology is changing the world of research in exciting and maybe scary ways. But what are some of your thoughts around what might be coming up for vet teams, and particularly the world of research?
I think essentially for us, I think our focus is supporting our members. It's a highly stressful sector for people to work in, and we really know how the impact that can have on people's mental health and well-being. So we're very much focused on supporting the membership and the wider kind of veterinary sector over the next year or so. I'd advise anyone to, even if they're not a member of the BSAVA, to keep an eye on our channels and our website, where there's news all the time about developments and innovation and technology. And as Rover develops as a product, as well as Lumos, which is our new CPD product, I think those are going to be the key areas that kind of allow people to access that really relevant quality content, but at a time and a place to suit them. So I think there's something to be said for just keeping an eye and signing up to our newsletters.
Brilliant. Is there anything we haven't covered today, Ali, that you think is an important thing to remind veterinary teams of, people working in the sector? Is there anything you think would be good to remind people of as a close?
I think in terms of talking about BSAVA and PetSavers, you don't necessarily have to be a member to apply for our funding. So don't let that put you off getting in touch and finding out more about us and what we can offer you. And also all our resources are freely available. So the Ageing Canine Toolkit we send out to practices, both hard copies and there's downloadables available. And we recently produced something called the End of Life resource, which is a really sensitively produced resource for people in practice to use with pet owners who are facing really tough decisions. So, I'd recommend people have a look at that too.
It sounds like you do a whole range of different things, and there's obviously I'm kind of new to understanding this in many ways, but a lot of the people who are joining, listening, or watching today will already be members and know about your work. But Ali, thank you so much for joining today. It's been great to speak with you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
No worries at all. So for everyone watching and listening, if you're wanting to get your certificate of attendance for the Best Practice Summit, please head on over to the LearnX platform. We have some reflection questions for you to put answers to. We'll see you on the inside. Thanks again, Ali, for joining. We'll speak soon.